Hello, my name is Amber Parker. In this module, I will be discussing the leader-member exchange theory. The leader-member exchange theory is a theory that really focuses on the dyadic relationships between a leader and their subordinates. In the theory, it really highlights the vertical dynamic that takes place not just amongst an entire group of subordinates, but on each individual subordinate. And within those relationships, the quality of the relationship is what ultimately creates in-groups and out-groups. So if a subordinate feels like their leader supports them, feels like they have mutual liking of each other, then they're going to have a high quality relationship and they're going to feel kind of in with their leader, thus creating an in-group. However, on the other side of things, you have the out-group, which is pretty much the opposite, where a subordinate just kind of feels like their relationship with their leader is very formal and it's just about the contract. It's about the contract that was created between the leader and the subordinate, and that's kind of it. They fulfill their obligations, they perform their duties as expected, and there's really no anticipation of them doing anything beyond that. And so because of that, the leader doesn't really expect much more of them except for what is in their contract, and they're less likely to provide that support, and they're just kind of going to keep things pretty formal, and that creates a perception of kind of feeling outside of their outside of the group, if you will, thus creating an out group. So, in the study that I selected, the title of it is Applying Leader-Member Exchange Theory to the College Classroom, an Investigation of Student Communication Behaviors. So I chose this journal article because it kind of takes this concept of the leader-member exchange theory and applies it outside of the professional setting. So usually the LMX theory really focuses on professional workplaces, with it being a leader such as a boss or a manager, and then the people underneath them. However, it's not usually applied in a different type of setting, and so in this setting, it is taking it to a classroom just to see if it also impacts the communication behaviors with the students, if the students feel like they're in the group or if they're out of the group in terms of their relationship with their professor. So in the study, 132 undergraduate students that are enrolled in a communication class, they were given 5 questionnaires, and those questionnaires were the Leader-Member Exchange 7 scale, the Classroom Citizen Behavior scale, the Instructional Dissent scale, the Oral Participation scale, and the Out-of-Class Interaction scale. And they gave them each this questionnaire to fill out, to kind of indicate how they felt in terms of their relationship with their instructor. In the leader-member exchange scale, this is really just focusing on the quality of the relationship between the student and their instructor. The classroom citizen behavior scale, this really focuses on measuring the student's involvement in the class. The instructional dissent scale focuses on how they kind of vent to their classmates or maybe even to their family members about the class or about the instructor. So basically complaining. Oral participation scale is, as it indicates, how much they participate orally in the class. And then out-of-class interaction, that scale focuses on how much they interact with the professor outside of the classroom. So after those questionnaires were conducted, it was determined that 63 of the participants perceived themselves to be in an in-group relationship with their instructor, and then 25 perceived being in the middle group, and then 44 perceived an out-group relationship with their instructor. And overall, the results indicated that the people that were in the in-group really felt like they were supported by their professor. They felt like their professor really cared about how they learned. They felt like their professor was doing things in order to accommodate their learning styles. And so because of that, they were more involved. They participated more in class. They were less likely to complain. And they overall just communicated more with their professor, whether that was inside the classroom or outside the classroom. And then on the other end of the spectrum was the out group, which they felt the opposite. They didn't feel like their professor cared much. They didn't feel like the professor was doing anything to accommodate their learning styles. And therefore, they just kind of did the bare minimum. They did what they needed to do to pass the class. They did the work as required, but they didn't really go the extra mile in the classroom. They didn't participate orally very much, and they didn't really communicate with their professor outside the classroom. And then they also very much were more likely to complain outside of the classroom about the professor or about the class. And so ultimately, this concluded that the LMX theory can absolutely be applied inside an instructional setting, because just like in a professional setting, you have similar dynamics with having a leader and then having the subordinates. But in this case, the instructor is the acting leader and the subordinates are the acting students. And it really just goes to show the importance of professors or instructors really making an effort to create quality relationships with their students and doing what they can to make them feel like they are appreciated as students, and doing what they can to make them feel comfortable and make them feel valued in the classroom. Thank you.